Hello G7 family. I'm here to apologise for my profanities last time I was on. Probably went a little bit overboard. But you have to understand, this has been going on for a lot of years, this gang stalking. And this stealing of my inheritance. Now this cult that's in my town, they've broken their necks to get to this money. Over the years they've stolen a lot of money. They've bought homes, boats, cars, properties. They put money in overseas accounts in 3 different countries. And they've been relentless coming after me and my family. So I'm just here to say that, like I said, I'm sorry for my profanities last time, but it's not a subject I like talking about. I have legal action going. I've had it going for 9 years. We've put a lot of people in jail. Dirty judges, like I said, banks, real estate. They closed the real estate down. The police got involved, the local police, the council. There's a lot of people involved. And then we've got bike clubs. Not one, we're talking a couple. Then we're talking about the union in Australia, which I can say, I'd rather keep that to myself which union it is. There's already enough crap going on, but they've been dealt with. And I've travelled all over Australia trying to avoid these. I wait for my kids to grow up. Now they're living their own lives, so I took off on my own. I went to a place called Queensland. Now I've gone from the bottom to the top, then to the Northern Territory in Darwin. I went all over the place. And these buggers have been chasing me down and setting me up with all manner of shit, trying to get people to fight me, stand over me, but it hasn't worked. Trying to get people to corrupt me. Just a whole lot of nasty shit. Now this cult, I told you last time, they're doing some sick shit to some animals. You've got to do rituals to get into this cult. And I'd rather not say what they're doing to animals besides sacrificing them. It's pretty sick. But it's all going to come out at the end of the day. There's going to be a documentary made about this. I will not be talking shit to you. It's one of the biggest RICO cases in this country's history. And it's my life and my kids' life. Now I've got one of the best legal teams that money can buy in this country. I said that last time. They have stuck through me through thick and thin with this crap. And if it wasn't for them, I'd be up shit creek without a paddle. They have sat back while I was travelling around Australia. They sat back in my hometown watching these morons play their stupid games and access my bank accounts. Cash cheques that were in my name, they've actually had my mail redirected. So the only mail I'm getting is stuff that's really not, it's worthless. The court dates and cheques and stuff like that were going elsewhere. It was getting sorted through the post. So obviously there's people in Australian Post that are involved. Now I will be going them along with the bank in Hastings. I won't say anything else other than that. Shouldn't have even said that, but you know what, I've had a gut full of this. My legal team are onto it. And yeah, they're all going down. So hopefully not in the too near distant future, it's going to be dealt with. Like I'm talking months away now, so yeah. But I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. And as I said for my so-called friends last time, I don't give 2 shits. I knew these people all my life. And if they were prepared to throw our friendship away for pocket change, so be it. Because silly old me would have helped these people out. And I'm glad that we've worked out what's going on, because I ain't going to help them out. Now they can come back and try to apologise and all the rest, but I'm not interested. They can keep their apologies to themselves. All I want is to be left alone by these parasites. Now this cult is to this day still trying to access money out of my account. Now this isn't going unseen. So they're going down, they're going to do a bust on this lot. And I'm waiting for that day to happen, because it's just getting out of hand at the moment. And I've had enough of them, clearly. I'm itching to say their name. I mean, obviously there's only a few different cults. And as I said, some of them have put themselves in higher positions where they can just screw over people. I'm not the first they've done this to. They've done this to many people in the past. Many people have taken their lives in the past. They weren't able to cope with what was going on. I'm the opposite. The more you poke and prod me, the more I'll come back at you. So then they're asking my friends, well, how can we get him to go over the top, lose it? And they said, target his kids. Well, too right. But you know what? That didn't work either, because I knew what you were doing, so I had to keep smiling at you and just play my little games with you. All the shit that you've done hasn't gone unseen. I told you, 7 years of this gang stalking. Why I'm up the top of Australia, my team are down here, and up there with me, down here watching these gooses play their games. As I told you, since 2017, I've lived at probably 17 to 18 different places. I've had to keep moving because what they do is I get a property, and since I lost my business, I lost everything because I sold my home to buy that 28-year lease on that motel. So that business cost me a lot of money, and that cult come in and destroyed it on me. So I got an hour's notice to get off that property with all my belongings, and after I'd bought a 28-year lease. So as you can imagine, I sued the pants off that man, and there's more to come because he has literally destroyed my family. That money was my kids' inheritance, that bit of money. That was my house money. Now this new money we're talking about is an inheritance. It comes from a couple of different people. Now I knew nothing about it. When I hired this legal team to look into my motel business, they looked into everything. And they rung me up after 4 months and said, listen, have you upset anybody else? And I'm like, oh, well, I had an accident and I had an insurance company sort of giving me the shits. And he sort of said, yeah, well, that's linked. And I said, oh, well. And I did say to him, I said, well, listen, I didn't hire you to do that. I hired you to look into this motel. So if you want to drop it, you can drop it. He said, no, we're taking the job on. Well, as it turns out, 9 years later, we got a whole town of people involved. A whole town. Dirty police, dirty doctors, changing medical reports. See, I had a bad accident. 2 people died in my accident. A truck ran me off the freeway and everybody I hit on the opposite side of the freeway passed away. I hit a Peugeot that hard, I punched a motor 50 metres through the air and it landed in another car. Now, I didn't know that motor had done that. All I tried to do was get to the bloke in the Peugeot and I got stopped. I pulled my lip under my chin and I did my right shoulder, my neck and my back, and I lost 2.2 centimetres on this side. Now I'm laying in hospital and I got 2 nurses stuffing sheets into this bloke's chest. And they looked at me and I'm laying there with a neck brace on and she stood behind me and she goes, does he know that this man's not going to live and he's going to have to live with that one too? Well, with hearing that, I ripped the neck brace off and I started to walk out of the hospital in a gown that didn't even fit me. It was showing everything. Now I had to walk through that waiting room where all those dead victims' family were. And they just stared me out of the whole place as if I was a murderer. Now I didn't murder nobody. I was coming home from work. I was drilling and cutting concrete in Melbourne. Now I was an innocent person as much as they were innocent in this accident. I was run off the freeway by a truck and a sports car. Now the sports car that caused the carnage didn't get a scratch. I still remember his name to this day, but I won't say it for legal purposes, excuse the French. But I had to see a psychiatrist for 12 months because of what I had to go through in that hospital. Those nurses aren't there to judge people, they're there to fix people and mend people. They're not there to put in my head that I just killed another. One died on the scene and one's dying next to me in hospital. Now that chap died next to me in hospital. Now the blood-curdling screams that he let out beside me in hospital were horrific. And I had to lay there and put up with it. So that's why I discharged myself with this hanging under here. I thought I'd go home and I'd treat it myself. I did for a couple of days, but then I had to go back to hospital and I caused myself a whole heap of shit for medically discharging myself. But anyway, I found a doctor that treated me. 5 years later, they operated on my hip and they found a tear 6 inches long in my hip. And the surgeon goes, what happened? And I said, oh, I had an accident. He goes, yeah, no, I know that. He goes, why am I operating on you 5 years after this has happened? And I said, oh, because they didn't believe me. They were saying that I just had soft tissue damage. Now this is an insurance company. They're paid to say this, okay? They don't want to give you nothing at the end of the day. I'd rather have had my job, cutting and drilling concrete. I was on good money. I had my own van. I was Australia-wide. I travelled all over Australia. I didn't need this to happen in my life. I was quite happy working. Anyway, that's how the accident come about. Now I believe that this cult were behind that accident because it shouldn't have even happened. Those two people should have got home to their families that day on the freeway. There's a lot more involved, but I can't really go in to say it because these people are deceased and I'm not going to disrespect them. It's not their fault, but it's related to my accident in another way, and that'll come out at the end of the day. I'm going to write a book on this, and my legal team's going to do a documentary. They've done all the groundwork, so they know the ins and outs. They'll get the bits and pieces from me. But yeah, this has been a nightmare to say the least. So anyway, I got over the hip. That was done. So that's when I went. I was living in a country town with my kids. I took them out of where I was here. I wanted to bring them up in a smaller town with less crime. So I took them to a country town. They hated me for a long time. Oh, Jesus, they wouldn't talk to me. But you know what? It was the best thing I ever did. And they later came to me and said, you know what? You did the best thing for us. And I said, yeah, I know I did. And I said, but you hated me for a long time there. And I said, I did it for a reason. I had your best interests at heart. So they become good kids. They met good people in that town. And then not so good people in that town that got involved in my shit. That were playing the kids to come into my home. That I opened my doors for the town. Anybody my kids brought home, they were made welcome. I'd rather my kids at 17, and if they're going to have a couple of drinks, they could stay at home and invite a few friends around and have a couple, you know, out the back on their own. But I know where they are and what they're doing. So anyway, so yeah, this whole, I'm leading off all over the place here, but this whole gang stalking thing with the clubs and all the rest of it, I had to stand my ground, and I wasn't backing down to these people. I had no one having me back until my legal team come along, like I said, and then I had to give the reins over to them and say, well, you deal with it. And like I said last time, it was hard. It was bloody hard. And they've done a tremendous job, and I'm proud of them. No one else in Australia would have taken this Rigo case on. They would have looked at me and said, you've got to be joking, don't you? We can't do this. This is too many businesses, too many corporations. We're talking about a big legal firm in Australia that's huge, that's getting taken down. I won't mention any names. I know what I can say and what I can't say. But this, and I said to my team, you know, you could make a movie out of this shit. And I just said, I don't know how long the movie would have to go for 20 hours, because how are you going to cram 21 years since 2001 into a movie with so many different entities involved? It just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't do it justice. So I hope that the documentary they do does it justice. And as for the people here that aren't involved, they're about to be enlightened what's actually gone down in this town, and they've known about it, but they've just turned a blind eye. They don't want to get involved, and I don't blame them, because they would have been set upon. So it's all you people here that knew about it. I don't give a shit. But to the people that got involved and slandered me and did all this sneaky shit, passing guns around the community trying to take me out, and then you targeted my daughter, because once I go, that money can go to my daughter, so therefore they're going to target my daughter. They've got life insurances out on me and my daughter, this cult. And it's not just one, there's multiple people that have got life insurances out on me. So all this has been found out. Everything's been found out. They've gone to court, people have gone to jail, people have got bail. More people have got bail than should have, as far as I'm concerned. Judge got bail, but he ended up in a nut house, because he knows what's coming. He knows the shit that he's done, what he's done to me, and he's probably done this to multiple families. These people have got rich off the backs of other people. So you wouldn't wish this upon your worst enemy. And as for my family getting involved, you know what? It doesn't surprise me. Money's the root of all evil with some people. It's not with me. You couldn't buy my loyalty. One thing you could not buy is my loyalty. And that's what saddens me when it comes to so-called friends that got involved in this. But you know what? I can live with myself, and I dare say they can live with themselves, but I bet you they're not laying straight in bed, because they're guilty, and they know they're guilty. And I don't give a shit if it was $5 grand or $6 grand or 50 grand or 150 grand for all the professionals. I've had multiple doctors go down this road, screwing me over with my medication because of this accident. I've got collapsed disc in my lower back. Now, I've been on medication since 2001. They've stuffed with my medication so many times. I've done so many trips to hospital in an ambulance. I can still wipe my own backside at the end of the day. I thank the Lord every day I'm still walking around. But I need that medication to survive in life, otherwise my quality of life is zilch. I was bringing up my kids for the last 7 years on my own. So I had to look after them, and I had to be as solid as a rock for them. So anyway, they turned out fabulous. They're good kids, and I'm proud of them. And I just want this shit to go away. But I mainly got on here to say, oh, sorry about, I got a bit of a warning off of TikTok. Somebody put a complaint in. Well, I can imagine who put the complaint in, can't I? Colt. I'm itching to say their name, I'm telling you. I'm going to talk to my legal team and see if I have legal grounds to talk about them. But they would have put the complaint in, but guess what? It didn't work. I'm still on TikTok. I'm still telling my story. And I'll keep telling my story. So to those people out there that thought, you know what, we're listening in on him, we're going to put a complaint in. It didn't work. I got away with a lot. Yeah, I did. I shouldn't have swore as much as I did. But as I said, it's a subject I don't like talking about. It's I've had it up to fucking here. Excuse the French again. But they're not beating me on this. I'm going to stand my ground, and I'll stand tall all day on it. My kids aren't. My kids are living their own lives. They're being watched by my legal team because there's been threats made on them. And they live in other states. So my legal team are watching me, watching my kids in other states. They've got people in the court system representing me. This is not a small group of people. This is a big group of people. And I haven't paid 1 cent in 9 years. They have backed me 110% on this. Now, as I said, next time, these silly buggers are going to be paying their bill at the end of the day. I'll sue the government for their bill because the government got involved with this MK Ultra, flying planes over me doing MK Ultra. I don't know much about MK Ultra. I don't claim to know anything about it. But I've constantly got them over me, hanging off me and doing their crap. I give them the birdie from time to time. Makes me feel good. I can't help myself. Sometimes I'll give them the peace sign because they're trying to rub me up the wrong way. I think, no, I'll swing the opposite way. You're trying to piss me off. I'll just sit there and go, yeah, how you going? I can't even go for a walk without being harassed. I couldn't go to a shop without being harassed. I couldn't go buy something and them try to corrupt the people I'm buying food from. So I'd only go there once. If I went there the second time, they're liable to do something to the food. I had friends spike food. I had friends spike some smoke that I used to smoke years ago. This has got really ugly, but they're being dealt with. They've gone to jail. And I dare say when it goes to court, they're going to be, their sentences, they'll be getting longer anyway. But at the end of the day, I want my money back. It's my kids' inheritance. This was left for me to look after, to make sure the next generations get this wealth. So I'm going to do it. And it doesn't matter how much it cost me because I didn't know much about that anyway. I was basically aiming to get my motel money back. And we're talking $500,000. That's what I paid out. $450,000 plus by the time I did me moving and legal bits and pieces. That cost me my home. And that prick thought he could throw me out on an hour's notice and get away with it and take that money after 6 months on a 28-year lease. And then he forgot to mention that the freeway that I'm on is called the Bruce Freeway. Oh, they're going to shut that freeway down for 6 months. Well, that was left out of the due diligence, wasn't it? So therefore, I go the solicitor. Therefore, I go the property management that put me onto that solicitor. I won't go saying too many names, but it was all set up. It was an elaborate setup to send me broke. So they could send me broke, so I couldn't go find a legal team to fight me against that motel. Now, thank God for my oldest daughter. She put me onto this. We rang around. I got set up with solicitors. They'd take it on. 24 hours later, they'd ring me and say, we're not doing it. As I said, they'd cause problems. So she got me onto a lady. My daughter got onto a lady, and she's put us onto somebody through word of mouth. We don't meet these people. These people don't have an office you can just walk in and start talking to. They come recommended. They're obviously the best of the best, and they're good at what they do, and they work undercover. Now, in 9 years, I've spoken to this bloke 3 times, and this is the amount of work that they've done for me. It's been hard, like I said, but they're good at what they do, and I have to put my faith in them. And I'm seeing results. I've been back here now I've been back here 12 months, and I've seen heaps of results. So I don't want to go making this go too long. You're going to get bored and annoyed with me. Anyway, have a good day, G7. Just sending love and support. See you later.